मां पाहि प्रभो पाहि प्रभो मां पाहि विभो पाहि प्रभो मां पाहि विभो शम्भो शङ्कर सदा शिवा लिङ्गोद्भवहर लिङ्गेश्वर लिङ्गोद्भवहर लिङ्गेश्वर जगदीश्वर मां पाहि प्रभो जगदीश्वर मां पाहि प्रभो पाहि प्रभो मां पाहि विभो पाहि प्रभो मां पाहि विभो शिव 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 शिवाय नमः शिव 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 शिवाय नमः हर 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 हराय नमः हर 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 हराय नमः शिवाय नमः हराय नमः हराय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः हराय नमः शिव 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 शिवाय नमः शिव 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 शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः।
सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। तू है अनाथ बंधु करुणा सिंधु, तू है अनाथ बंधु करुणा सिंधु। ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव, ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। दुख और दर्द दूर करो, दुख और दर्द दूर करो। सुख का कारण दुख का निवारण, सुख का कारण दुख का निवारण। मैं क्या जानूं तेरी महिमा, मैं क्या जानूं तेरी महिमा। माया में आवे सब ही अंधेरा, माया में आवे सब ही अंधेरा, तू है अनाथ बंधु करुणा सिंधु। ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसराओ, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसराओ, बंधन कोटि सूत्रास निवारो, बंधन कोटि सूत्रास निवारो। मैं क्या जानूं तेरी लीला, मैं क्या जानूं तेरी लीला। माया में आवे सब ही अंधेरा, माया में आवे सब ही अंधेरा। तू है अनाथ बंधु करुणा सिंधु। ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। ओम गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Humble prostrations to one and all. So in the last class, we have seen the first 3 verses of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. So in the initial verses, Bhagwan describes the Guru Parampara. Bhagwan says, Arjuna, this self-knowledge has come from me. I gave it first to Vivaswan, the sun god. Vivaswan gave it to his son, the next king, Manu. Manu gave it to Ishwara. In this way, in the ancient times, this knowledge was ever available for all the kings, because of which they became efficient. They were able to fulfill all the major responsibilities. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. So in the ancient times, this parampara was available. This jnana parampara was available. And over a period of time, it got lost. So I have come to revive it through you. Many times, this jnana parampara is compared with the holy river Ganga. So very many times we hear this term Jnana Ganga. This is a very common usage, Jnana Ganga. Why is it that this holy Ganga is compared with Jnana, self-knowledge? There can be very many reasons. The first reason, as we all know, this Ganga, it starts from the jata of Lord Shiva. So the source of Ganga is Bhagavan himself. In the same way, this self-knowledge also has its origin from Bhagavan. This is the first similarity. The source is Bhagavan. The story of Ganga is very symbolic. That is why this river is considered holy, and that is why this river is compared with the flow of self-knowledge. So the first one, just like Ganga has its source in Bhagavan, so too self-knowledge has its source in Bhagavan. Right. Number two, this river always flows from the higher plane to the lower plane. In the same way, this Jnana Ganga also flows from Guru higher to Shishya lower. Just like water has the tendency to flow always towards the lower plane, in the same way, knowledge has the tendency to be occupied always by the lowly ones, the humble ones, the egoless ones. That is the nature of knowledge. This nature can be, the knowledge can be grasped only by the humble ones in the society, the egoless ones. Second, third one, so we all have seen the Ganga, it comes as a thin stream from the jata of Lord Shiva. Now what is the symbolic meaning of this thin stream? So we all know that Ganga comes and falls into the jata of Shiva with tremendous force and power. But this Ganga comes out of the jata in a thin stream. Now this is very symbolic. What is the symbolism? The symbolism is this. Guru may have lots and lots of knowledge, but when he gives this knowledge to the Shishya, he is very, very careful that knowledge flows like a stream. Because if the spiritual knowledge is not given in a limited dose, knowing the nature of the student, knowing the capacity of the student, if spiritual knowledge is not given, then just like that the heavy downpour of water, it can only be a cause of destruction, it can be of no use. When heavy rain comes, there is only flood, and flood is the cause of destruction. That water is of no use, it can only destroy us. In the same way, spiritual knowledge given indiscriminately can only destroy the individual. Spiritual knowledge is a dangerous thing. So therefore this Guru gives this knowledge in a stream. In a stream means what? This knowledge is given understanding the nature of the student, understanding the temperament of the student, the ability and capacity to grasp this knowledge. That is the meaning thin stream. And the knowledge is given in such a way that the student is able to grasp it easily without any confusion. Knowledge has to be given in an understandable way so that comprehension is very easy. So like Puja Gurudev, knowledge is given adding lot of similes, day-to-day examples, stories, anecdotes. So then we are able to easily grasp this knowledge. So this is the meaning thin stream. We will always find that a person who has the knowledge is always capable of giving this knowledge in a simple, understandable way without confusing the student. This we find. A person who has only little knowledge, many times he complicates the whole issue, and the students are more confused there than enlightened. This is what happens when the knowledge is expounded by people who are not very clear about the knowledge. So the proof that a person has knowledge is that he is able to give this knowledge in a very simple way, in a way which everyone can understand. So this is the meaning, this thin stream coming from Lord Shiva. So according to the needs of the student, this knowledge is given by the Guru to the Shishya. This is the third one. The fourth comparison. When we are tired and exhausted, and then when we take a dip in Ganga, we become refreshed, rejuvenated. All our tiredness and exhaustion goes away when we take a dip in Ganga. In the same way, when we take a dip in self-knowledge, when we take a dip in the self, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji calls this self-knowledge as Atma Tirtham. In Atma Bodha, that's what Bhagavan calls it, Atma Tirtham. So when we take a dip in the self, even for a few minutes, all the agitations and disturbances of the mind, they just vanish, and we are refreshed, we are recharged, just like taking bath in Ganga. This is another comparison. The fifth one. This river flows and flows and flows and finally merges with the infinite ocean. So what happens? The individuality of the river completely disappears and this river becomes one with the infinite ocean. In the same way, what does this spiritual knowledge, the self-knowledge do? It dissolves our individuality and it makes us one with the infinite self. This is what self-knowledge does. This is the fifth similarity. And the sixth similarity is, we all know the story of Ganga. It was a heavenly river. It was flowing in Swargaloka. It is because of the hard work, the tapas of Bhagirath Rishi. It was because of Bhagiratha that this river came down to the earthly plane. Now this is also very symbolic. What it means is, this self-knowledge is a divine knowledge. It gives us an experience of our divine nature. That is what self-knowledge does. But for that, we will have to put forth effort. Hard work is necessary. Self-effort is necessary. It is this effort which makes us experience this divine self on this earthly plane. So with the right effort, and what is the effort? Purification of mind by practicing all noble virtues of life, and then gaining the knowledge of the self through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. This is what effort is constituted of. With this effort, what happens? Even when we are living in this earthly plane, even when we are living in this body, mind, intellect, we are able to experience our divine nature. It is not necessary that we have to leave the body or to go to some world. No, even while living on this earth, living in this BMI, we are able to experience that divinity. So this is the meaning, bringing that Ganga right upon to this earthly plane. This is the meaning. So because of all these reasons, This river Ganga is considered holy and it is compared with self-knowledge, and it is sometimes called as Jnana Ganga. Right. So now Bhagwan says, Arjuna, the very same knowledge which I gave to Surya Devata, that very same ancient knowledge, that spiritual knowledge, I am giving it to you. Bhagwan, why are you giving it to me? Arjuna, I am giving it to you because Bhaktosi me Sakha Cheti. You are my Bhakta, you are my Sakha, you are my devotee, you are my friend. Therefore, this Uttamam Rahasyam, I am giving it to you. Bhagwan calls spiritual knowledge as Uttamam Rahasyam. What do you mean Uttamam Rahasyam? Uttamam means the best. Uttamam means the greatest. Both the meanings go here. The best secret, the greatest secret. Why is spiritual knowledge the best? Spiritual knowledge is the best because it puts an end to all our sorrows and sufferings forever. It puts an end to birth-death cycle. So because it puts a final full stop to all our sorrows, this knowledge is the best knowledge, Uttamam. But now why is this self-knowledge called Rahasyam? Rahasyam means secret. Now what kind of secret? Bhagwan says it is the greatest secret. Uttamam Rahasyam means greatest secret. Now what is the definition of a secret? Secret is something which very rare few people only know. Majority of the people, they don't know. Only rare few people know. So therefore it is called a secret. Secret is something which only very few people know. If that is the definition of secret, so what should be the greatest secret? So here self-knowledge is called greatest secret because even when it is told to us, we are not capable of knowing it. Unless the mind is purified, unless we have the qualification, even when we listen to it, even when this knowledge is given to us, we will not be able to grasp it. So it remains a rahasyam even when exposed. That is why it is called the greatest rahasyam. And interestingly, self-knowledge is talking about me. So even when somebody introduces me to myself, I am not able to know myself. What a strange thing. We are not talking of something or some being in the world. We are talking of oneself. The whole knowledge is about me. Even when it is told to me, I am not able to grasp it. Because the mind is not prepared. So therefore, this knowledge is also called as Uttamam Rahasyam. Arjuna, I know that you are fit for this knowledge because you have a pure mind. You have a pure mind because you have devotion for me. You have devotion for the Lord. Therefore, you have a fit, qualified mind. So therefore, you are fit for this knowledge. And therefore, I am giving this knowledge to you. So now Arjuna has a question. What is the question? Verse number 4. It's a very natural question to anyone who listens to the discourse of Bhagwan. What is that question? Let us see. Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha kathametat vijaniyam Tvamadau proktavaniti. So now this is the question of Arjuna. So what is the question? Bhagavan, bhavatah janma aparam, vivasvatah janma param. Bhagavan, my question is, you said you gave this knowledge to Surya Devata. But according to my understanding, bhavatah janma param, you were born recently. Vivasvatah janma param. Even in the beginning of the creation itself, Surya Devata was there, illumining the creation. But your birth was in recent future. Somewhere it is said that Bhagwan's age was some 60 years. Bhagwan and Arjuna, at the physical level, they were of 60 years, it is told. So, Arjuna's question is, Oh Krishna, you were born just now, maybe some 60 years back. Whereas the Sun God was there even from the beginning of the creation itself. Therefore, Kathametad vijaniyam, how am I to understand that Tvam adau proktavan iti? How am I to understand that you gave this knowledge to Surya Bhagavan? It doesn't seem likely because Surya Bhagavan was there even before you. It is something like saying, I gave this knowledge to your great-great-great-grandfather. You came just now. Now please understand, this is not the doubt of Arjuna, but we have to understand that Vedavyasa Rishi is putting this question through the mouth of Arjuna because Vyasa Rishi knows that this scripture will be studied by very many thousands. So this doubt may appear in the minds of others. So therefore, this doubt is presented through Arjuna. Actually speaking, Arjuna had no doubt. He knew that this Krishna is not an ordinary human being, he is Bhagavan himself. So who comes first, Bhagavan or creation? Definitely Bhagavan comes first. Creation comes next. Creator comes first, creation comes next. So therefore, as far as Arjuna is concerned, there is no doubt. But the readers of Bhagavad Gita will have this doubt. So therefore, deliberately, knowing this doubt in advance, Vyasa Rishi is putting this question through the mouth of Arjuna. This is how we have to understand. Otherwise, Arjuna never had any doubt. Right. So the question is, Krishna, how is it that you gave this knowledge to Surya Devata? He came before you. This was the question. So now Bhagwan answer. So in this answer you will find Bhagavan revealing his nature to Arjuna. So let us chant verse number 5 and 6. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham veda sarvani Natvam vetha parantapa Ajopi san avyayatma Bhutanam Ishwaropi san Prakritim swamadhisthaya Sambhavamyatma mayaya. Yes. So Bhagwan said, Arjuna, Me cha tava bahuni janmani vyatitani. Arjuna, this is not our first birth. You and me, both of us, very many births, bahuni janmani vyatitani, we have already passed through. We have already lived very many births. And what is the difference between you and me? Tani sarvani tvam navetha. All those past births you don't remember. Aham Veda, but I remember. Arjuna, there is a huge difference between you and me. You are a Jivatma, I am Paramatma. There is a big difference. There is a difference between Jiva and Ishwara. Both of us appear to be in the form of human beings, yes, but there is a huge difference. So here Bhagavan reveals to the world that he is not an ordinary human being. He is none other than the Lord of the universe. So what does Bhagwan say? Arjuna, Ajaha api. Who am I? I am Ajaha, birthless, unborn. Avyayatma, I am deathless, imperishable. So this is me, birthless, deathless, Bhutanam Ishwara. I am the Lord of all beings. So Bhagwan is introducing about himself. Who is this Krishna? So he is talking about himself. Arjuna, I am Ajaha, I am Avyayatma, I am Bhutanam Ishwara. I am the Lord of this universe. Though this is the reality. Though this is the reality, Sambhavami, I manifest myself. I take up a form. Though infinity is my form, though I am formless, because I am infinite, but I take up a form. I manifest myself in a form. Sambhavami. Bhagwan, how do you do that? Prakritim swam adhishtaya. Keeping my prakriti under my control. With the help of my prakriti. Now, since it is Atma Maya, it is my own Maya. Because this Maya is my slave, it is my instrument, therefore I am able to control it. I am Maya Pati, the Lord of Maya. So therefore, keeping that Maya under my control, with the help of my Maya, I manifest myself in this form. So though I am infinite, though I am birthless and deathless, though I am the Lord of this universe, but I manifest myself in a particular form using my own Maya. This is what Bhagwan says. Now, we'll have to spend some time here. We'll have to clearly understand the difference between Jiva and Ishwara. The difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. So what is Avatara? Why Avatara take place? All these things we will have to discuss here. So what is the difference between Jiva and Ishwara? There are mainly three differences. The first one, Karana Bheda, the difference with respect to cause. Second one, Swarupa Bheda, difference with respect to nature. And third one, Uddesha Bheda, difference with respect to purpose. So these are the three differences when we compare Jiva with Ishwara. So the first one is Karana Bheda, difference with respect to cause. What causes Jiva to be born in this world? What is the cause? So the cause is avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Ignorance of the self is the cause for birth as far as a Jiva is concerned. What about Ishwara? As far as Ishwara is concerned, the cause is not avidya. We can say the cause is knowledge, vidya. Bhagwan takes avatar with right understanding, the right knowledge about the creation. We can also say Bhagwan takes avatar out of compassion for the suffering humanity. This can be another cause. So right knowledge coupled with compassion is a cause because of which Bhagwan takes avatar. So there is a huge difference. A Jiva is pushed into samsara, Bhagwan descends into samsara. A Jiva falls into samsara, Bhagwan descends. So it is a conscious, deliberate descendance. Avatara means coming down consciously, deliberately. It is not a falling down. There is a huge difference between falling and descending. Descending is a deliberate process. Falling is a helpless process. Just like falling into a well. So there is a difference between getting down into a well and falling into a well. So Jiva falls into samsara, Bhagwan descends consciously, deliberately into samsara. So the cause is ignorance as far as Jiva is concerned. As far as Bhagwan is concerned, the cause is knowledge, the cause is compassion. Right. So this is Karana. Now the second one is Swarupa Bheda, difference with respect to the nature. So what is the nature of Jiva? Jiva is Maya Dasa. He is a slave of Maya. Slave of Maya means what? He has no control about himself. Where he is going to be born, to which parents he is going to be born, in which environment he is going to be born, in which body he is going to be born, he doesn't know anything. He is a completely ignorant person. He is ignorant of Jiva, Jagat and Ishwara. He has no idea of what the world is, who God is and who he himself is. He has no idea. So basically he is an ignorant person. This is the nature of Jivatma. He is a Maya Dasa. He is a slave of Maya. And how does that slavery express itself? That slavery expresses itself as slavery to Kama Krodha, all the negativities of the mind, Ahankara, Mamakara, the I-ness and mine-ness, Raga, Dvesha, the likes and dislikes. So a Jiva basically is a slave of all this. He is a helpless being. A Jiva can be defined as Alpatnya, Alpashaktiman. His knowledge is limited, his strength is limited, his abilities are limited, everything is limited. This is the nature of a Jiva. What about Ishwara? Ishwara, the Lord, the Paramatma, He is not Maya Dasa, He is Maya Pati, the Lord of Maya. As is said here, Prakritim Swamadhishtaya Sambhavami Atma Maya. He rules over his Maya and comes. So he is not Alpatnya, he is Sarvatnya, omniscient, knowing everything. He is not Alpashaktiman, he is Sarvashaktiman, all powerful. That's the difference. There's a huge difference. He rules over his Maya, Maya Pati, not Maya Dasa. So when he comes, it is not that he is helplessly born somewhere. No. When he takes avatar, he is very clear of why he is taking avatar. So taking avatar, keeping the Maya under control means what? He chooses the body. He chooses the time of avatar. He chooses the place of avatar. And he chooses the duration of avatar. Everything he chooses. According to the need, he chooses the avatar. It is not necessary that he should come only in a human form. No. He can take Varaha avatar, the form of boar, Matsya avatar, a fish, Kurma avatar, a tortoise. Again, it is not necessary that he has to be in a sentient form. He can take an insentient form also. So when Draupadi was in need, Bhagwan took Vastra avatar. The avatar was that of the cloth, because that was the need at that time. So it is not necessary that his avatar has to be a sentient one. It can be an insentient one also. It is not necessary that he should come in a human form or an animal form. He can come in a mixture of both. In Narasimha avatar, that's what we find. It's a mixture of lion and human being. Now this is called as total freedom. When to be born, how to be born, how long to remain. So Bhagwan is the Lord of Maya means this. According to the need of that time, Bhagwan manifests himself in a particular form. He is beyond all rules and regulations. He is beyond all laws of nature. Total freedom is given to him. He is the Lord. In Bhagavatam, the example given is just like how we take a thorn and remove all the thorn under our foot and finally throw away that thorn also. So first we take a thorn and remove all the other thorns, and then finally we throw away that thorn also. In the same way, Lord Sri Krishna, he took a particular physical form and then he killed all those wicked people in the society, and finally he dropped that form also. So as far as Bhagwan is concerned, no form is sacred form. He takes up a form, finishes off the job, and then he throws away that form also. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam says about Krishna avatar. Right, so the point is Bhagwan is Maya Pati. Puja Gurudev used to beautifully make us explain, make us understand this concept of Maya Dasa and Maya Pati. So once a father and a son, they were walking, and the son sees a chained person walking along with a policeman. So the son asked father, Father, who is he? So then father said, he is a thief, because the police is carrying him. After some time, another chained person was seen. He was surrounded by 4 policemen. Again the son asked, Father, Father, who is he? So father said, he is a greater thief because more policemen. And finally they saw one person surrounded with hundreds of policemen and the military people. So then the son said, Father, Father, see, the greatest thief is going. At that time father said, oh fool, shut up. He is not the greatest thief, he is the president of our country. Now see the difference. One person is surrounded by police, he is controlled by the police. The thief is controlled by the police, whereas the president of the nation controls the police. This is the difference. This way Puja Gurudev used to make this concept clear. So what is the difference between Maya Dasa, that is Jiva, and Maya Pati, Ishwara? One is controlled by Maya, the other controls Maya. This is the difference. So this is Swarupa Bheda, difference with respect to the nature. And now the third one is Uddesha Bheda, the purpose. What is the purpose for which Jiva comes into this world? Now what is the purpose? There can be three purposes. The first one, Jiva comes into the world in order to fulfill his unfulfilled desires of the past. So at the time of death, whatever desires we have, Bhagavad Gita says, those desires decide your next birth. So what decides our next birth? Our next birth is decided by the desires which we entertain at the time of death. So one reason for rebirth is to fulfill the unfulfilled desires of the past. The second reason for rebirth is in order to exhaust our prarabdha karmas. So many karmas we have done in the past, all those karmas will have to give karma phalas. The one who has performed the karma alone has to go through the karma phala also. So in order to go through the karma phala, we are reborn into this world. So to enjoy or suffer the fruits of our action is the second purpose. And the third purpose and the most important purpose is to evolve spiritually. So why are we born? We are born because Bhagwan is giving again and again. Bhagwan is giving opportunities for us to evolve spiritually. So consciously or unconsciously, we are all evolving spiritually. So the purpose of rebirth is spiritual evolution. And when will this rebirth stop? Once we have evolved fully. When is that complete spiritual evolution? When is it possible? When we come to know that we are Satchidananda Atma, the evolution has attained its completion. So then there is no more rebirth. So the purpose of coming to this samsara is, number one, to fulfill the unfulfilled desires. Number two, to go through our karma phalas. And number three, to evolve spiritually. This is true as far as the Jiva is concerned. What about Ishwara? What is the purpose for which Ishwara comes to this world? He is not coming here to fulfill his desires. He is not coming here to exhaust his prarabdha karma, or he is not coming here to evolve spiritually. No. Then what is the purpose? That purpose is beautifully mentioned in the next two verses, verse number 7 and verse number 8. What is the purpose for which Bhagwan comes? Let us chant those verses, verses 7 and 8. Very, very famous verses. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. Yes. So what is the purpose for which Bhagwan comes to this world? So here Bhagwan says, Yada yada dharmasya glanihi bhavati adharmasya abhyutthanam bhavati. Whenever there is a decline in dharma and a rise of adharma, an increase of adharma, tada aham atmanam srijami. At that time I create myself, I manifest myself. So when does Bhagwan come? Bhagwan says, I take avatar when there is a decline of dharma and an increase of adharma. Bhagwan, after taking avatar, what do you do? So Bhagwan says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya aham yuge yuge sambhavami. So what does Bhagwan do after taking avatar? So these are the things which he does. Sadhunam paritrana, he protects the virtuous. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, destruction of the wicked. And in this way, dharma samsthapanaya, samsthapanarthaya, he does the dharma samsthapana, he establishes dharma. And this happens yuge yuge, in every yuga. So this is the literal meaning of these two verses. So what is the purpose for which Bhagwan comes to this world? The purpose is dharma samsthapana. A loose translation of dharma samsthapana is to establish peace and harmony, to establish law and order in this cosmos. This is the purpose. So we can say the purpose of Bhagwan's avatar is to establish peace and harmony in cosmos. So now these two verses, they are very important, especially when we find our mind disturbed. So when we see this world news, when we read, when we see, when we hear this news, corruption, so many illegal, immoral, unrighteous things are happening in this world. And many times our mind gets disturbed. Very many times when we see the sufferings in the world, our mind is disturbed. So at that time, when our mind gets disturbed, what should we do? We should remember these verses. So let us not forget that there is somebody who is taking care of this world. This world is not an orphan. There is somebody who is taking care of this world. There is a Supreme Lord. There is an omniscient, omnipotent Lord who is taking care of this world. I may not understand why a person is suffering. I may not understand why there are so many kinds of illegal, immoral things happening in this world. I may not be able to find an explanation for it. But I must always keep this in mind, that there is an all-knowing, all-powerful Lord who is taking care of this world. How do I know that Bhagwan is constantly paying attention to the happenings of the cosmos? How do I know? So this verse very clearly says, Bhagwan says, whenever there is a decline of dharma, I manifest. Means what? Bhagwan is constantly paying attention to the happenings of the cosmos. Otherwise, how will he know that there is a decline of dharma? So, in this world, whatever happens, happens by the will of the Lord, by the knowledge of the Lord, by the command of the Lord. So therefore, nothing can happen in this world without His knowledge. So with this understanding, we must be able to quieten our mind. This is absolutely essential. So these two verses can be a great help in quietening the mind when we see disturbing events around us. We must learn to quieten the mind. Right. Now here Bhagwan says, whenever there is a decline in dharma, I manifest. So there is a yada tada relationship mentioned here. Now, these two verses also indicate that the whole cosmos is intelligently designed. What is the proof that a system is intelligently designed? What is the proof? The proof is whenever there is a threat to the system, whenever the system faces certain uncertainties, the intrinsic protective mechanism of the system is able to handle those threats. So if there is such a thing happening, then we say that system is intelligently designed. Some few examples will make it clear. So we have all these electrical equipments. But when there is a sudden surge in electric current, what happens? The fuse wire is blown out, thus protecting all the electric equipments. Now this is called an intelligently designed system. Because when there is a threat, the protective mechanism, the intrinsic protective mechanism of the system is able to handle that crisis efficiently. Another example. Nowadays we have these cars which can go at tremendous speed. So in these cars we find the airbags. So what happens when this car meets with an accident? These airbags are blown out, pops out, isn't it? Thus protecting the lives of the passengers inside. So yada yada accident, tada tada popping out of these airbags, you see. The airbags don't pop out just like that. It happens only when there is a threat to the system. So this is called as the intrinsic protective mechanism. So what is the proof that a system is intelligently designed? That system is able to handle all kinds of threats, dangers from the external world. It is able to protect itself. There is a sudden power failure and there are people in the lift or the elevator. So nowadays what do these lifts do? So when there is a power failure, that lift goes to the nearby floor and stands there so that people can get down to that nearby floor. So they are all, intelligently designed system. Now if we look at our own body, we find how much of intelligence how much of intelligence is present while designing this system, this human body. Just observe. The moment dust enters into our eyes, what happens? The eyes are filled with tears, and these tears flush out this dust particle. The tears don't come all the time. Yada yada dust, tada tears. You see how beautifully this human body is designed. When the dust enters into our nostrils, sneezing happens. Yada dust, tada sneezing. When we eat food which doesn't get digested, then what happens? Either vomiting happens or loose motion happens. So this human body is so beautifully designed, so intelligently designed to face all challenges of the external world. So this is the sign, this is a proof that the system is intelligently designed. Bhagwan says, just like this individual body is designed intelligently, is able to meet the threat intelligently, efficiently. In the same way, the whole cosmos is also intelligently designed. So whenever the peace and harmony of the cosmos is in danger, then something happens. What happens? Bhagwan says, I dissent and ensure the peace and harmony of the creation. Now this is a big topic. It needs elaborate explanation that we will see tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Shankara Chandrasekhara Gangadhara Sumanohara Pahi Mam Parameshwara Mrityunjaya Vishveshwara. Shankara Chandrasekhara Gangadhara Sumanohara Sundara Pahi Mam Karunakara Girijesha Omkareshwara. Neelakantha Bhalanetra Bhasma Bhushita Sundara Pahi Mam Karunakara Girijesha Shankara Chandrasekhara Gangadhara Sumanohara Pahi Mam Parameshwara Mrityunjaya Vishveshwara. चन्द्रशेखरा गङ्गाधरा सुमनोहरा पाहि मां परमेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा मृत्युञ्जय विश्वेश्वरा